Welcome back to the Very Merry Holiday Fair in Baraboo. Our last artist of the day is Kyle Martin. Welcome, Kyle.
Hi, Mary. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. We're just happy to have you here. We're going to talk about your paintings today.
Awesome.
All of these paintings are for sale.
That's correct.
And where do you want to start?
How about on this end? This would be good. Maybe I could just take this off the wall and talk about it. This is a big barn painting that I did out in Vernon County. And I noticed this barn 2 summers ago, and it's just a barn with a great vista right behind the barn. And so I was really captivated by the light on the evening that I painted this, and I went back just before sunset time, and I actually worked on 2 canvases during the time that I was out there. I painted one in the hour or so leading up to the very last light. I was waiting just for that golden hour effect. And then when the light was just right, excuse me, I put this canvas on the easel, and I worked that over a couple of different days, capturing that last moment of light. Now, the reason that I work that way is that Claude Monet, the Impressionist master painter, used to do the same thing. If you've ever been to Chicago, you've noticed the haystack paintings and those kinds of things. And he worked in that same way. He would just go back to the same location at the same time of day, and it gives you enough time to really develop a painting, even though you're working in a limited window of time.
Sure. This is beautiful. Now, the medium that
Thank
you're
you.
using, do you always use oil paint?
I'm primarily an oil painter.
Okay.
My fiance would like me to do more watercolor painting, but
This is your choice.
my choice is oil, and I learned painting at Madison Area Technical College.
They're beautiful. I
Thank
love
you
the
so
color
much.
palette. You really can tell that this is sunset.
I mean, you've just got these really warm pinks down here next to some more subdued yellows, and there's even some cool colors in those lit up plains of the barn, like these really interesting greens that are right next to some of those reds. It just creates a really interesting effect for your eye to look at it.
Are barns part of your favorite landscape to paint? Or do you have a favorite type of landscape?
I think you're right.
I think you go towards the farms.
I go
and
towards the farms.
More of a rural setting.
That's
for your
right.
paintings, which are really spectacular.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love working on our scenery around here is a bunch of these giant barns. And every year we all know that we're losing barns like crazy. So my mission is just to get out and paint these weathered structures before their time comes.
This is beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Do you know what size this is?
This is 16 by 20 inches.
Okay.
Framed, you're looking at about 24 by 31 inches.
It's beautiful.
So
How much is that painting? Do you know?
this painting is $550. When I'm working in a size about 16 by 20, and of course that includes framing and either shipping or delivery. Also throw in a pack of my 4 artist cards with every purchase during the Very Merry as well.
Awesome.
These paintings are listed on my website. You can find my website just by going to Google and just doing a search for Kyle Martin paintings. And it's a Selfie site, which is a online web store that I have. Here's another barn painting, since we're on the subject. And this is a barn out on Abelman Road in Rock Springs.
It's just beautiful. I love the trees.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that I decided to paint this particular painting because of this foreground tree kind of broke up the space nicely, and then there's just this little barn sitting right behind it. And actually, the shadow from the tree is being cast up onto the barn. So it was kind of a interesting evening to paint just for that reason. The moon is also rising above the horizon, and the tree line is actually, because of that golden hour light effect, is just a very brilliant pink color.
This one is beautiful as well. And what size is this one?
This is 12 inches by 16 inches, and this painting sells for $375. I paint in kind of some standard sizes.
Okay.
I normally work in like 12 by 16 or 16 by 20. And that keeps it easy for me because I know that I probably have a frame on hand.
Do you ever get the idea of going back into your paintings? You go back and visit it later and decide that you didn't like something that you did?
Sometimes I like to do that. One time I even put some duct tape over an old painting. You know, not as much as you might think, though, Mary, and that's a great question. A lot of plein air painters do, they'll go back into it. I happen to think that when I'm out painting, I'm making my best decisions.
Using all the energy for that moment,
Absolutely.
and then moving on to the next one.
And then moving on to the next one.
Yeah,
I mean, just because, like, if the light is gone, I can still spend another 20 minutes after, while it's twilight, kind of using my visual memory and things like that. But it is just that. It's when you change the energy, even if it's a day passes or something like that, you might be... You've missed your window of opportunity to work on it. So
beautiful.
I prefer to keep things simple, and that enables me to finish them on location. It's my wiring. All my paintings are, they're all wired on the back, and they include a little card with my artist information on it. And this is a painting that was completed right outside of my chicken coop studio.
Beautiful red barn.
Thank you.
Which is a traditional color.
Very traditional color. We just had our barn painted like 3 summers ago. So it is a very beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Beautiful red color. So this is the granary. And the granary that's out at our farm is from the 1860s. So you'll see a lot of these kind of granaries in our area that are just sort of this same style and this same size. And that's actually the oldest building that's on the farm.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I love the blues in here. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a lot of great color variation that you use in your paintings.
I appreciate that, Mary.
Yeah.
That's that long shadow that's being cast towards us from this little pole barn right here. And again, I worked on this painting over 2 or 3 late evenings, and that enabled me, when I originally placed this shadow in, I did it with a very brilliant blue color. And over the course of the next day or so, that dried, and I was able to go back in with some different colors of paint and kind of restate that shadow. It really gives the paintings a lot of life to let some of that original underpainting show through.
That's really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Now we're going to move away from the barns and move into fruit.
Oh, yes.
Still lifes.
Well, we had to have I had to bring a festive painting along today. Now, these are the Valentine's Day flowers that I gave to my fiance, Corbin, on Valentine's Day.
Nice.
And she took a Polaroid photo of it. I mean, that's a blast from the past. Who remembers Polaroid photos? But she had this photo sitting on the bookshelf, and I saw it one day, and I thought to myself, that's just the perfect composition to paint. So I took the flowers upstairs into my studio, and I set them against a floral kind of black backdrop. Actually, there's a couple different floral pieces of fabric that make up the backdrop. And then to contrast that, I kind of made a simple tablecloth and just put some bananas and peaches on the floor. And all that color and all that pattern just makes for a really happy situation, in my opinion.
It really draws your eye, and it makes you jump around and figure out what's going on. It's beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that when you look at this for the first time, there's a lot of things that are going to come into focus as you spend time with this painting, in my opinion. Yeah, there's a lot of, there's some really deep blues and indigo colors kind of surrounding the flower, and my idea was to place the darkest dark against the lightest light in this area, just to create that center of interest.
That's beautiful.
Now that I look at it, I can tell I was just kind of throwing paint on and scrubbing it around, but still being very deliberate in the things that I was doing, and I think that worked out nicely.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Kyle, do you sign your paintings? I'm looking up Look Close, and I don't see a Kyle Martin signature.
Absolutely.
Maybe I do.
I definitely sign my paintings.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I usually scratch it right
I
in
see
with
it.
a little.
Okay.
At the end of my painting session, I take the back of my brush and I use it like a pencil. And that lets me just sign it, just like I was signing
Nice.
my name anywhere else.
I do watch your videos on YouTube.
Oh, thank you.
And they're very instructional. I do enjoy
you.
watching your process.
I appreciate that.
And that you plan some of your trips out and you revisit, and it's entertaining to watch, and you learn about art. So
Well, I appreciate that.
yeah, I really love it.
I have a new one coming out today. You're going to love it. I'm out at Devil's Lake, and I ride my one-wheel electric skateboard to the top of Devil's Lake on the West Bluff Trail and do a painting. You'll have to tune into that later.
And the rope and tackle were not called.
They weren't called.
To
I probably
rescue
could
you?
have. Maybe I could have assisted them somewhere else if they needed help.
Right.
But and yeah, in that situation, I was wearing my easel as a backpack. So my
Awesome.
easel folds down into like just a briefcase size.
I'm sure people were taking a picture.
I'm sure they probably were.
This is great with the tractor and
Thank
the
you.
elevator. That's really awesome.
Oh, isn't that fun? I mean, those old Internationals, I mean, I definitely grew up with those old International tractors, and then this sort of a elevator as well. I mean, I spent time up here in top of the haymow, and my brother or my dad would be loading the hay bales onto the elevator, which would carry that right up into the haymow.
Nice.
And of course, that's usually on one of the hottest days of the summer. And up in the haymow, it's probably 110 degrees or something like that. And the dust and everything else. But those are good memories that I have, and that's another reason that I love to paint all these barns and farms, is just because we all have, those of us who grew up farming and doing that kind of thing, we have such rich memories of being on the farm.
Is it hard for you to sell a painting that brought back these memories or evokes that kind of feeling?
I think this one might be kind of hard for me to sell, just because I think that I captured a really interesting quality of the green. And, you know, it gives me memories, but I always think, you know, I know where this farm is. As long as that barn is standing, I can go back and paint it. This was actually the location. I was on the cover of the Fall Art Tour brochure a couple of years ago making a painting. It was the same scene.
Awesome.
Yep. That's a scene where I can just head out to this location, even if I'm working. I work for the public schools here in Baraboo as well, and I can just head out here right after school and make a painting late in the afternoon if I want.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Do you keep your paints in the vehicle with you, or do you?
I do.
So that you can just paint on site pretty much any time of day when you feel like it?
I keep everything right in my car.
Nice.
And the only thing that I do is I do take my brushes inside to wash them out with the soap and water, but that's the only thing that comes in with me.
That's awesome.
I have a whole separate studio, which I just finished redecorating it, and I have a whole another paint set and easel, and everything that I need to paint is in my studio and also in my car. And I end up painting outside about 90% of the time.
So you are on the Fall Art Tour. You're
That's right.
Chicken Coop Studios.
Yeah, my Chicken Coop
Studio
You've
is
been
on
out
the
there
tour.
before.
Yeah. And that is the third weekend in October, if you've never been on the Fall Art Tour. So
It's a necessity. The Fall Art Tour was life-changing for me. I mean, I get 800 people in my studio just in Rock Springs.
And over the course of 2 days?
Over the course of a weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah, there's times when there will be someone from France in there chatting with somebody from basketball. So it's really an interesting situation.
It's awesome.
I guess we're sticking with the red and green color combination, which is kind of a fun color combination for me to work on here in Wisconsin. You know, we have so much green when it's summertime. A lot of painters, you hear landscape painters complain about using green, but I love using green, especially in a situation like this where I can contrast it with these beautiful vermilion and red colors. So again, this is a Farmall M, I believe, is the name of the tractor. And this was something that I spotted on the way out to Lake Redstone, and they were having an auction for this tractor. So I pulled over, made a painting. The people who were holding the auction came by and asked if I wanted to buy it, and I thought maybe I would want to buy it, so I didn't buy it, but I would have liked to buy it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, isn't that something? Yep, and the Farm All-M is a popular tractor around here too. We have a Ford tractor out on my farm right now.
So where's the blue?
What's that?
The Ford tractor is blue?
The Ford tractor is not blue.
It's not?
I wish it was.
Oh.
But I have some blue in this painting right here.
Beautiful.
Well, one of my favorite, one of my big interests with painting is the work of Vincent van Gogh.
I was going to say with the sunflowers.
That's right. And I went to Amsterdam and I saw the museum, the Van Gogh Museum, where there's 100 different Van Gogh paintings. And I saw his Starry Night, and I also saw a lot of his sunflower paintings. So I think that painting sunflowers is a wonderful challenge. And in this case, I let the color blue work for me, and I just put that blue drop cloth right behind those yellow sunflowers, and that just made those sunflowers really stand out.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Again, in this piece, I'm working with a lot of pattern as well. I like working with pattern just because it's fun and it kind of gives the painting a lyric quality. And this painting is $750. It's 24 inches tall by 20 inches wide. So this is a pretty substantial painting. This is definitely something that it could be the accent of a wall in your home.
If someone wanted to purchase this, they could they could email your email address that's on the screen.
That's right.
Or go to your website, Kyle Martin Paintings.
That's right. Look for Kyle Martin Paintings on Selfie, and I'll come up. And I can just swing by and just deliver any of these paintings to you as well. I know last week, or 2 weeks ago, I had a Black Friday promotion and I sold 20 paintings. So I was driving all over Baraboo. And, the furthest one that went away was Maryland. So I couldn't exactly go that far, but that would have been a fun trip too.
That's awesome.
I think I'll set this one.
Do you ever paint? Is your subject matter ever people? I see
It
a
is
lot
people.
of landscapes.
Yeah, I do.
But I don't
paint
see
a lot
any
of
people today,
landscapes.
so I just was curious.
That's a good question. I guess more is coming soon. I love painting people.
A self-portrait, maybe?
That's a great idea.
You should do that.
I'd like that. Painting, as far as people goes, I like to paint my friend Josh because he has a big beard, and it's easy to paint guys with beards because it hides half their face. So here we have another, it's like a late afternoon effect in June. And so this is an old dairy farm, and the gable roof barn is just sitting there. There's a couple of heifers wandering over in the pasture just to your right as you look at this painting. And I kind of pulled my car over, and there's a bluff right behind me. Like I didn't have a lot of room to stand. I was just standing right by the side of the road. And that bluff cast a long shadow over the road, and it just let this streak of light come past. And then in contrast, the landscape was just lit up. I mean, how many of us have ever had that experience of just pulling over a hill, and there it is. There's that beautiful light. And our Wisconsin landscape with all these hills is just so interesting to paint. So that's why I wanted to pull over here, was just that contrast of that long shadow and then the lit up landscape. Also got the old farmhouse over here. This kind of reminds me of my own farmhouse because it's that same style from the 1860s.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So by the time that you actually pull over, get your easel set up, how long do you spend on a piece like that?
Well, that painting that I just showed took me only about 2 hours. And something else happens. I mean, when I'm painting, I really get into the just the flow of it. And because I've been working daily, you know, painting plein air paintings like daily for about 12 years now, it's just like when I'm mixing colors, I just go right to it and I just mix the right color that I need to do. And I also know which area I need to work in on the painting at that moment to be able to capture it. Like for instance, there was a exact moment where I had to place that shadow to have that piece of light falling across the painting. So it's for me just good to pay attention to that and just trust my own intuition in a way, because it kind of just works itself out for me.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. So this is a Thunderhead, and this is a very nice little abstract cloud painting. Corbin just posted a video of me making this painting this week, and this was back in June. And we all know what the thunderstorms are like in June. There's just all that electricity in the sky. And we get these towering clouds. So if you can believe it, this shape right here, that's one of the bluffs. That's the bluff by Abelman's Gorge. And the Thunderhead is just towering overhead. I love that time of year, and I love trying my hardest to capture the drama of the sky. Corbin made the comment that in the video that she edited of me painting this, the clouds just flew by. You couldn't even really tell. I probably mixed up the colors that I was going to use, and once I saw the shape that I wanted, I just immediately blocked it in, and that was it.
It's a beautiful color palette.
Thank you so much,
I love
Spring
the sky.
Greens.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely afternoon. A lot of yellows in the clouds there.
How much does a painting like that one cost?
That one's $200, and that's a 8-inch by 10-inch painting.
Okay.
You know, I will say, too, that I mentioned my sale that I had 2 weeks ago, and that was all $99 paintings. And I do have a selection of those on my website as well. And those are much smaller paintings, but really some interesting stuff. Oh, here we go. This is one that I'm going to plan to do a larger scale painting of in my studio over the winter time. And this is a farm out in Vernon County. Have you ever canoed in the Kickapoo River?
No.
You never canoed in the Kickapoo
not,
River? Well, let me tell you, when you're driving to the Kickapoo River, you're just going through all kinds of these little rolling hills out in Vernon County. And the little hills are accented by these great old Amish farmsteads. Now this is the gambrel roof barn, and it has a metal roof in this case. As the sun was going low in the sky, the colors of the sun were actually reflecting right off of the metal roof on that barn. And I was just taken by that effect, and this was a rush to create. It felt great to be out there. And because I like it so much, and because I think that it has a really interesting foundation of just the shapes that are present in this painting, I think it's going to make a great 3-foot by 4-foot painting this winter.
It's really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, a lot of movement.
Thank you.
I think we have time for one more painting, Kyle.
All right. Which one
I don't
should
know
we
if
do?
you have a favorite.
Here we go. Well, this is, Baraboo is my favorite.
There you go.
So I had to pull out a scene of 6th Street in Baraboo. When Corbin and I first started dating, I would drive down 6th Street and pick her up, and this was the neighborhood that I would drive through. And then this is a plein air painting done in October a couple of years ago.
Awesome.
In Baraboo, I just love the trees in Baraboo. These streets are all lined by maple trees in the fall, and in the springtime, they're lined with the plum trees and the cherry trees, and it's just such a beautiful arrangement of trees. And to me, what could be better than using a whole lot of yellow and oranges to create a street scene like that?
I've seen you do other paintings downtown. You've been on the square. I've seen the Baraboo Social Club painting.
Yes,
was
right.
Pretty amazing.
That's right.
And years ago, you did a painting of the Al Ringling Theater, I believe.
That's right, for Mark Seals.
Yeah. So I've seen those on your website over the years. Yep. I've known you for a long time, so I can say that
Well, I need to get you one of those.
I'm kind of
Baraboo
familiar
downtown
with
paintings.
his work. I do have a painting of his Broadway looking
Down the.
south on Broadway, and
That's-
it's amazing. So,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really enjoy
Mary
it.
has been such a big part of everybody's life here in Baraboo.
You're funny.
Whether you know it or not, you're just such
Yeah.
a big supporter of the
Well.
arts and of business and everything that's going on in Baraboo.
Thank you. I'm a fan of Kyle Martin.
Thank you, Mary.
So, how can they purchase any of these paintings? They can go to your website.
Yeah, just look me up online. My Facebook is Kyle Martin Paintings, so that's a good place to start. You can get in touch with me that way, or my email that's on the screen is a great way to touch base too. Love to have anybody out. I take appointments in my studio. You can come out for the day, check out the farm, and you can see about probably like 50 frame paintings right at this moment.
Right.
So
You can follow him on YouTube.
that's right, Kyle
and
Martin Paintings
watch
on
some
YouTube.
of his paintings come to life. And also at the Fall Art Tour next year.
That's right.
Fingers crossed that they'll be able to have the Fall Art Tour. So we really appreciate you coming to the very merry holiday fair today online.
These are all lined by maple trees in the fall, and in the springtime they're lined with the plum trees, the cherry trees. It's just such a beautiful